The Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan begins a visit to Germany on Friday. There is heated debate about his strong criticisms of Israel. Erdogan says he has broken all contacts with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu because of the way Israel is prosecuting its war against Hamas. Though Erdogan's views contrast sharply with those of the German government, political leaders in Berlin stress the importance of maintaining a dialogue.
Few foreign leaders can be less welcome in Germany right now than Turkey's president. Recep Tayyip Erdogan has described Hamas as freedom fighters and openly questioned Israel's right to exist. While Western nations continue to stress Israel's right to defend itself in response to the October the 7th terror attacks carried out by Hamas, Erdogan accuses the West of double standards, using rhetoric some say crosses a line. The Israeli government, with the unlimited support of the US and Western countries, has been continuing its massacres for 40 days in a row. And I say with a clear heart that Israel is a terrorist state.
İsrail bir terör devletidir.
Erdogan accuses the West of being weak in the face of civilian deaths in the Gaza Strip, and yet Berlin wants to talk. It's important to stop the conflict from spreading, and Turkey, of course, plays a role in this. We need to talk to each other, but the question is how clear our words will be. For Chancellor Olaf Scholz, balancing Germany's national interest with criticism of Erdogan will be a test of his diplomatic skill. Turkey's president is under pressure at home over his country's economic problems. But on the international stage, Erdogan knows he's an important player, especially in the current crises. Turkey is a vital partner for Germany in NATO and a channel to Moscow on grain shipments out of Ukraine. It can be a power broker in the Middle East and has given refuge to more than 3 million migrants, many of whom may otherwise travel to Europe. For President Erdogan, there's another big reason to come to Germany. Some 1.5 million Turkish citizens live here. More than two-thirds of them helped re-elect Erdogan last May. Ankara also connects with people in Germany through an estimated 1,000 mosques located here but run by the Turkish state's religious authority. But many politicians say that gives Turkey too much influence, and it's time to pull the plug. I believe that we cannot continue to allow Turkey to operate what is in effect a political arm here in Germany. There are close ties, but also deep divisions in the relationship between Turkey and Germany. Erdogan's visit will see Olaf Scholz walk a political tightrope between principles and dependencies, and it will test both leaders' willingness to de-escalate the conflict in the Middle East.
Well, for more on this, let's bring in DW's political correspondent, Thomas Sparrow. Thomas, Erdogan calls Hamas freedom fighters and says Western countries like Germany are assisting Israel in carrying out massacres. Yet Erdogan is about to arrive in Germany later today. Why didn't Germany uninvite Erdogan?
This is undoubtedly one of Chancellor Scholz's most difficult visits, and that has to do with the fact that both leaders, Scholz and Erdogan, could not be more different when it comes to how they view events in the Middle East. And that has obviously generated here in Germany a big debate, with calls that the visit should be cancelled, with calls that Chancellor Scholz should speak very clearly to Mr. Erdogan when he arrives here in Berlin. The official reason that the German government gave is that it's important to talk to governments and talk to leaders that may view things very differently, that may have very different goals. And that is particularly the case with Turkey. Turkey is not only relevant when it comes to finding a possible solution to the war in the Middle East, it's also a relevant NATO partner, and there are many issues that Germany would want to discuss with their Turkish counterparts. So this explains why this visit is particularly important, but also why this visit is so controversial.
Now, as you said, lots to talk about, but what are we about to witness there, Tom? How will German leaders handle this visit?
It'll be a very difficult visit where German Chancellor Scholz will have to balance Germany's strong words, maybe Germany's criticism towards Turkey, with also common interests and common goals that they might have. The German government does not want this visit to end up being only about the differences, but also about which areas both leaders, both governments can actually work together. It goes beyond the conflict or the war in the Middle East. There are many issues that both leaders have to discuss, and that is a very tricky line for the German government and in particular for Chancellor Scholz. I think many in the country will be watching very carefully what will happen later today. The meetings between Erdogan and the German president, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, who's the German head of state, the meeting between Erdogan and Chancellor Scholz, the common press statement that will be given. All these are elements that are going to be followed very closely indeed to see to what extent the German Chancellor managed to walk that balance, to walk that tightrope between explaining Germany's interests on the one hand, but also making sure that there are elements in which both countries can work together.
Now, Scholz and the other German politicians also have to keep in mind Germany has a very large Turkish community, and Erdogan does have a lot of support in that community. But there's also opposition. What can we expect on the streets of Berlin today?
Absolutely, that's the case. That's also why this visit is also relevant, not only from the political side, but also from the, let's say, social side, from what people on the streets, that they are also following this visit very carefully. And there will be protests here in Berlin, in other parts as well. So this is something that will certainly be followed very closely. This is an indication that this visit is not only very relevant from a political perspective, but also very relevant to not only all the Turkish people living in the country, but to Germany in general.
That's DW's Thomas Sparrow there reporting from Berlin. Thank you very much.